So do you remember? Streets of New Hampshire?
Yeah.
So I was.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Must be six.
All right, welcome everybody. Day two, we got through general fund and DDA yesterday. So, okay, now you want to move on to streets, or you just want to go in order here still?
I would like to start with water and then sewer. And that way, if any of the staff would like to sneak out for the rest of it, they can enjoy some of their evening. If you're okay with that. I'll just jump right in again. So starting with water, which is on, it should be, I think it's water, W, I don't remember how I labeled it now. WF1? Yes. If you're looking at the hard copy, and then I can share my screen as well. But within the water fund, we had our rate presentation from Waterworth a few weeks ago now. So I did budget a 7% increase for water and an 8% for sewer. And sewer's next, but just so you guys know. Otherwise, there were not any major changes in the water fund budget. Obviously, again, if you guys have questions, please let me know. I did highlight the capital projects here, a little different than what we did yesterday. I worked with staff, we made a recommendation on our capital project funding. And actually we can fund all of our capital and maintain a little bit over a 3-month reserve. The only capital that's not fully funded is infrastructure, which we requested 401 and we proposed 250,000, but everything else is funded that's requested. But again, you guys, that's my recommendation based on funding and fund balance, but you guys can make changes to that if you so choose it. So this one should be pretty straightforward unless you guys have questions.
That's on the WF4 page. Is the highlight area, that's the.
So yes, you actually will have 2 highlighted areas. You'll have the WF4 and the WF5. So your page 4, that's going to be your distribution capital projects. And that includes the water mains. We have our lead service line replacement that we've been trying to budget every year. And I know we just recently talked about that unofficially. We're in the running to get that. Well, we have some grant funding for that. We've got hydrant replacement, dam repairs. We are actually asking to carry that forward from this fiscal year because that work will not be completed. And then some money to paint hydrant.
You get one hydrant then, Danielle, 65,000.
That is Sherman and Cherry, Russell and Smead. It's 3.
You didn't share your screen.
But it is 3 hydrants.
It's 3 hydrants then,
Yes.
okay. And is that, I mean, Mike, was that everything that, fire department had shared with the village of what needed to be prepared then? Would you know that?
And I do not know.
I could tell, I did reach out to Crew Chief following that meeting and asked if there were any that we weren't aware of. I had not heard back. So those are the ones that we're aware of that are not working. And then we'll do fall flushing. So if anything comes out at that time, we'll also know that too.
Say again, Sherman, what else, Cherry?
Sherman and Cherry, it's at the corner there. No, that's not right. Sherman?
Right, Jerry, don't click.
Process Sherman?
I put Cherry, so now that's wrong. Russell and Smead are the other 2. I'll double check that cross on Sherman. I don't know why I put Cherry there. I don't know what I was thinking. Or if it's Cherry and not Sherman, I'll have to double check that. Those are the ones I clearly typed that wrong.
Those are the ones that we're aware of.
Yes.
We have an issue on Worth Street, you know, remember? I thought we had one that's dead on Worth.
Not that I'm aware of. I can double check on that.
And then previously we talked about water service, kind of like under the BIN 3LT and that sort of things that go in our to-do list.
Yeah, we have a few that are on our to-do list. So that's what we have, the infrastructure for kind of mains and everything, the 250 that could be, I don't know if it'd be enough for that. We need to probably pick some projects and decide what we're going to design and get some engineering estimates on them. We haven't because we've been trying to figure out where we can kind of partner things together. A little bit, but that's challenging because our funds are not equal in funding availability.
That's real too, yeah. Good time to do that, and they do 223. If we waited that one. Yeah. I go under the lobby.
Yes, that is my understanding.
So 250 to kind of maintain and replace mains. So we know if there have any issues, and obviously we know about more of our infrastructure work than that amount. So, you know, how we're prioritizing, like what projects we want to take on based on funding availabilities for the most part.
Yeah, it's been funding a little bit. We've kind of gotten behind a little bit because we've had such a priority on the lead service line replacement. Just because of the deadlines and some of the requirements with that. But we really need to, and to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about not having some funding for mains once we start replacing these, because we're tapping into aging infrastructure. So if we have a failure somewhere, then we probably should
So,
have some money to be able to go in there and replace when needed or if something comes up. So honestly, I don't know that we, right now, with that lead service line project happening, have like a specific areas. More we're kind of thinking that we hold on to that so that if we have a failure, we're ready to act and replace it. I don't know a better way to do that right now because we, just have a ton of money to replace everything.
Yep.
I wish we did.
and that kind of goes back to our discussion. With the fire department, being able to tap whatever hydrant is needed, so. We definitely want to keep that on the radar. I know money is always an issue, of course, but we should be able to take any hydrant at any time and feel that we're comfortable that it's not gonna blow a single cast main or, it's gonna cause problems down the line, whether it's on real fire or it's practice. Any of those hydrants should be able to be utilized at any time, right? So I know that's thought for down the line and totally expensive. That's something we gotta plan for. And then I guess the other thing I question is if we do go through with the proposal from the subdivision, whatever they want us to do, how would we fund that main project? Would that come out of this? Would we bond for it? What's your plan on that?
I think we would need to look at that to see. I don't have enough information to tell you how we would do that right now. I talked to our engineers briefly about that you guys were interested in maybe looking at a total rebuild over there to see what it would take for them to get us some proposals together for that. And then I think we could talk about if we bond, I build that into water work, is what I would do so that we can play around with some different scenarios. I just haven't done that because it's so new. And then I followed up with Alan Edwin too. And they are still wanting to move forward. They extended their time frame, but they need some additional information as well. As far as like flow rates and some different things over there and what would be able to serve that. But I just don't want to tell you something today, Mike, and then I don't have enough information to feel comfortable and then it changes. I don't want you to hold me to something I said today. But I think we have a couple different options. We could fund it with our money. Once we have a cost estimate, we know what that is. We could bond for it. And then we also have the ability to recoup some of that cost from the tip as well. So we can work with them. So you can recoup a portion of it would go to us and a portion to Alan Edwin. So they could recoup their costs or they could collect their tip money, and then the last 5 years normally goes to the county TIF or brownfield program. But we could say after they finish their collection in year 26, we want our full money back to pay for this and reimburse ourselves. So there's some different options, but we need more info to talk about that in detail.
And I don't want to jump the gun in it. That was some of the line items there I had. So, if it's not the time to talk about it, but we talked about, if we do a 300 block rebuild of Cherry Street, obviously, most likely we'd bond for that project. We haven't done one since 2003. I think since we got on. That's the Franklin Street Center would be paid off, right? And that would be paid off through streets, through
Right, it's a
water,
combination,
sewer.
right? Water, sewer would pay their portion, and then the streets would pay for the street portion of it.
Do you feel like we're healthy enough across the board to do that, or do we spot it and divvy up?
The only fund that I'm significantly worried about right now is the sewer fund. And a big part of that, and we'll talk about that next. I'll just say it now. I think you guys all know is the unknown of the ongoing litigation with LaSalle. It's very hard for me to budget for that unknown. I mean, it could be nothing, which I think we're in a really good position, but I'm not a judge or a jury, or it could be a lot of money. And I just don't know how we try to anticipate that. And I don't want to completely not anticipate anything because I don't think that's the right thing to do either. So that's just really got us in a very weird spot with the sewer fund right now. Now, we could get, I'm hoping, because it's optimistic, that we have some resolution in the next year. And maybe next year's sewer fund looks completely different, but there's just no way to.
It'll look like the water fund now.
Yeah, that, it's just such an unknown. I can't predict. It's not like a capital project that I can say, yeah, we know it's gonna cost us approximately this much money. We just do not know. But I do think generally overall the village is healthy. I mean, obviously I would love to have more money. It would make stuff a little bit easier and yours and staff's, but I don't think we're doing bad for what we've got going on and what we've accomplished too. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah,
It's,
to a certain extent, I mean,
Yeah, we're still waiting, aren't we? I just have waiting. And look at them. Just, I mean, with the, not with, I have a question on page WF3. Meter replacement. Which meter will we focusing on in that section?
that's we did a lease payment on the meter replacement, so that's not any new meters, that's the payment for the meters we did replace.
Okay.
Other than we do keep stock, so if there's new inventory or a meter needed, anything or something that would.
Okay, I just saw it as the anticipation of doing more meter replacement. I just wasn't clear where. I thought we were pretty much set with that.
Yes.
But I got you.
what's your plan on the tower, the inside, paint, outside?
I actually, Bill from USG emailed us today. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He actually had some illness going on in the hospital, so we were waiting on him for a little bit, but, they're planning to do, push our chemical clean to next year and paint next year. And this year they're gonna do, I just have the RIE, this year. So we won't just shut it down this year, we will next year. So it is in the budget. If you look at, which it'll be on your RFI page, and that's your water treatment plant capital. We do have that for the tower in there. In anticipation of shutting that down next year. But I did respond back to him. I just want to confirm his timeline because he used some terms. He said next season. I want to make sure his next season is next summer and not something different than what I think. But that's kind of, I think, the plan right now. And I think it's starting to look a little.
Yeah.
Dingy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which it's never had that sort of mildewy exterior. I don't know what some of that was the paint or what happened this year, it's just something different, but.
Yeah, they did go, they every year do the inspection, look at the paint, and they actually wanted to wait until 2030, 31 to paint based on like how they do their checking of that and what the life of it is, but we requested that they evaluate that.
So transparency wise, I guess talking about 7%. What is, I mean, do you have the numbers that kind of break down increased costs and inflation, et cetera, versus what we're putting aside for these infrastructure improvements that haven't been done years and years?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I have those presentations from Waterworth online. And if you look at the water fund, I think that you'll see the big spike there is that RO system that's anticipated. And we had built that out with trying to get grant funding versus bonding that out. And I don't know that we will apply for funds, but I don't know if that'll come available or not. So we're anticipating that we'll have to fund that either through bonding or ourselves. So if you guys look at that fund budget, we actually have designated restricted funds. So those funds are not within the expense budget, but what we're saying is we're gonna take a portion every year and restrict them for that project to save up for it. Is to either go towards the project and then we bond the difference, or we try to save as the full, I don't know if we'll be able to save the full amount, but at least we have something to contribute so that it reduces our bond or whatever we decide to do, or if we are able to find a grant that we could qualify for, then we have matching funding. So we didn't build that within our expenses because we know we're not gonna spend that money. We just wanna be able to hold on to that and put it away for the future of that project. But that's a big reason that you kind of see that increase this year with water, and then that does flatten out. But it's just because the cost of that project is so high, and the rest of them, it's just kind of maintaining every year. And I can show you guys, I'm sharing my screen, I'd be happy to pull that up again. Like just visually show you that study again, because I think just the visual of that is fairly obvious. So I think this is where you see our capital operating and our debt, and we've got this big spike here that we're trying to anticipate and save for. We can see everything. So that's why the water increase is where it's at. Again, when we talked about this, our goal was to try to plan for the future and look at these projects instead of waiting and just saying, okay, well, we'll just do 3% this year. And then when we come to that system, we have no money saved up. And then we say, well, we didn't save even though we knew this project was coming. So now we've got to increase 25%. And then making up a number, I don't know what it would be, but
We had a discussion with that,
correct, yes. So that's how I built out the budget. It obviously you guys have the final say on rates, and when we do the full budget approval, you'll review the comprehensive fee study and you'll have to approve that as well. But I need to know if you're saying, Danielle, there's no way we can do this. I need to know that because then I need to adjust revenues and then in turn potentially adjust projects and
so
recommendations.
essentially, if we're not comfortable with the 7, speak up, now.
Yes,
The kind of thing.
I mean, technically you can change it then, but
No,
it's gonna be a lot harder
So
to
the rationale behind 7 is exactly that, that's what we had for. Look at. Look at that.
What your fiscal year is to build? I will.
31 is what we've got it projected at right now. And then again, if we're going to continue to watch for grant funding or any opportunities to help us with that too. I mean, if anything we can do to make that dollar stretch. So I'm saying 31, but if next year something opened up grant wise, I don't know that obviously you guys would have to approve that. We'd come to you and ask, but I don't know that we would say, well, we're not doing it until 20, we jump on it if we could.
It's my job. I'm, it is what it is. So
Yeah, it does suck. But I feel like we're doing a better service to our residents by increasing it smaller than waiting. Because we learned that just from the past, that when we don't have those consistent smaller increases, we see that huge spike. And I don't want to do that to our residents. Especially when we know, I mean, it's not like we know this project is coming down the road and it's not like a surprise all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we have to do this or.
Nora, what do you think about all this?
We talk and we're on it together all the time. I really like water work. I think with it also.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the budget work with everything?
Budget works out well, she's my well. I'm happy with that.
And Steve, I feel bad because when we get there to the wastewater portion of it, we put all the ambiguity. Not going to certainly look the same, at least not right now. But I think this is one of those things, Mike, you know, when you were saying yesterday some of the stuff, I know it's a different fund, of course, but look what is being accomplished. I don't think we accomplished a lot last year, but this is even more so this year. Nice.
How much money does that give us? As we're projecting a lot, the 3.5, if we're looking at 3 million. In the 2031. If all things being equal, we can't, meaning we can't get any grants until that time. So we don't jump ahead. How much money would we be able to set aside?
I don't know. It's very hard for me because every budget year is a little bit different and we try to make a budget that we can operate with, but if something comes up or if we're able to come in under budget. So this year, we're recommending the 230 to go towards it. I'm hoping next year we can add another substantial amount to that, but it's hard for me to project out a multi-year budget at this point. I would love to get to that point.
So we don't have anything earmarked like we did yesterday. That we marked one.
Yeah, yes, we do.
I'm just not, it's not missing something here.
No, you're good. So it's a little bit different than how you guys earmarked yesterday. If you look at the bottom of the fund, Ken, and so if you're looking at your paper, it's gonna be the WF5. And underneath your ending fund balance, there's those restricted funds. That's where we're earmarking. So we're not
Okay.
budgeting.
System 230.
Yeah, we're not budgeting it within expenses. We're leaving it in our fund balance, but we're saying that portion of our fund balance will go towards that project.
Thank
Yes. I just didn't want it, I did this one a little bit different because I didn't want it to appear if public looks at this, like we were going to spend that money this year, but I wanted to be able to show that we're putting away for that project.
That still only gets us third of the way. Right, but it's still less we bond and less we have to jack rates.
Correct, yes.
We guys think,
When
Here, Bill. He said she can put salad.
that's the other,
It's the wastewater, so.
I mean, it's not pretty, but again, the infrastructure is aging and we have a lot more than what we're budgeting for this year. This is a lot
It's
more for us.
critical. I mean, we don't have a community without water and sewer.
I did have another follow-up. The hydrants on these German Cross and Russell. Do we have any anticipation of having to change the diameter? Such as what we were looking to do for the subdivision? Do we have, I mean,
Oh, you're saying the pipe?
the pipe for an existing main, going to a large, do we have any, like, do we have to look at that at all?
No, we're good there. Eagle actually will not even let you replace or add or change a hydrant that's on a 4-inch or smaller. So like if we have a hydrant that went down on a 4-inch main, the Eagle's saying, no, you've got to upgrade your main. You can't go replace that hydrant.
We don't have to upgrade any of these.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
What am I saying?
Ready to move on to sewer? Okay. Maybe we should have. So sewer fund, we are looking at an 8% increase. Again, I'm happy to share that. Waterworth, just as a reminder again too. I already said this, but we do have quite a bit of capital, but more probably directly impact is the lawsuit. So some changes here. I am recommending that we do not fill Don's position out at the sewer plants. And I do have,
Where do we see that, Danielle?
it's on page. So I think it's SF. And it's gonna be on page SF2. 3, of mine about that, right? So you'll see numbers when it kind of looks like this, there's numbers off to the side.
Yes.
So my reasoning for this, if you look to the right,
Yes.
that's having the 2 employees, it'd be the supervisor and the 1 employee. If you look to the column where to the left of what's recommended, where it's got the 220, that would be as if we added a full person. So what I did is I put them on
Bottom
the
right
side so I
corner.
can easily swap them and show you guys if you needed to look at it.
So the 220 is with the third, the 158 is with 2.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And then the corresponding benefits below that.
Right.
So that's the major change there within sewer. And then I've made some recommendations on capital, which is, to carry forward the Beagle Road chopper pumps and add 10,000 to those.
Let me see that, please.
Which is gonna be page 5. And $400,000 for a sewer main replacement. We do have a main that we videoed and had some significant deterioration and potential failures that we're gonna need to get replaced. I'm gonna be talking to you guys about that a little bit more at an upcoming meeting, but I'm trying to anticipate for that. Again, this is, and then we do have our restricted funds for our bond and our RI in this fund. And then I proposed some a little bit for the lawsuit as well. Again, I'm really trying to, I don't know what to do with that. So this fund is just kind of is what it is, but you can questions. Obviously, if you guys tell me we're not gonna do that, we're gonna have to make some cuts or figure something out, but
You say not to replace, not to position.
correct.
We just have 2 over there.
Correct, we'd have the supervisor and then Patrick. I have talked to DPW. DPW currently helps them and would continue. I've talked to Brent. They are all on board for helping out if needed. If they have somebody that's out, they'd be willing to send somebody over. I've also talked to Nora, to see if her staff would be willing to cover weekends occasionally so that Don and Patrick aren't having to do every other weekend. And she was gonna talk to them a little bit, but I think, tell me if I'm wrong, I think they are willing to step up and help too. So I don't wanna leave them shorthanded. I don't know if this would be a permanent thing. But for this year and based on the unknowns with the lawsuit, I do think that that is our best option. I went through this budget. I think, like, no joke, literally did not sleep one night because I was so stressed out about it. So I'm open for any suggestions or ideas that you guys have, but I've gone through it a lot. I met with Steve out at the plant, and we went through kind of what he needs. I know that's not funding some capital that is needed out there as well, but again, trying to balance, and that stuff doesn't fall off the radar, it stays on, or if we get through this lawsuit and things don't happen, then we can talk about adding something or making some changes then, but I really just want to be cautious until we're able to get some resolution on that.
Daniel, can you remind us, when the attorney fees for this lawsuit, do those attorney fees come out of this?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
So this current fiscal year, we're projected to spend 180. That's another thing. I budgeted 150 for next year, which is eating up. Normally, we have about $15,000 a year.
Yeah, sure, we've got that. Yeah.
Yes.
The attorney, no, I was just gonna say, so the attorney fees, that significant amount, as well as the lawsuit itself with another significant amount, it's a weight thing.
Yes.
As far as Saturday and Sunday at the sewer plant, how many hours a day would they need to be there?
On Saturday and Sunday, they go in to do samples and stuff, so they get paid 2 hours each day.
So you're envisioning it that Don does one weekend Patrick another weekend, someone from Norris. People, and then every can takes the rotation of a weekend perhaps.
Yes, and we would work out the logistics. I would want to work with Don as the new supervisor and Nora and Brent, but yes, I talked to them, because they knew this was gonna be a recommendation, and I just wanted to make sure all of our staff has been more than willing to step up and help out.
That would be overdue, and I would guess for the DPW and wastewater treatment.
So water runs 7 days a week already. So they schedule that, and then I would work with Brent. We would not want to increase overtime because that's not really doing us any
No,
favors.
that's just curious.
By reducing the employee to then just turn around and increase overtime.
Right.
So we would either schedule them out, or DPW would be more of being there. Like if, let's say Don is taking a vacation and just Patrick is there, then maybe Nick will go out to help for that week. But I say, I don't know, but as an example. So then Patrick's not out there by himself, or vice versa. Patrick's gone and Don needs help. Or if there's something larger going on, then maybe 2 or 3 DPW go out there to help, which they already do now if it's something larger, but that's kind of how we would handle that. And certainly we're gonna have to look at this and evaluate it. And we'll be able to do that once we have some closure again with the lawsuit, but I don't know what else to do with the fund other than our other option is increasing rates even more than what we're proposing, but I don't know that that's the best either.
I think you made the best out of what we have.
And you guys each other about how the conversation go with Steve. But yellow heart on that position. Hold on, you got 10 days, 9 hours, 45 minutes, 11 seconds. So.
And
But
you're not
not to
pitting us
jeopardize
against
that.
each other at all. And Steve can tell you this, and he does not like it. I don't think any of them like it, which is fair. I understand that. And Steve can tell you the reasons why he has shared those with me, so I'm not blind to them. I understand them. It's not that I even disagree with him, but I'm trying to recommend what makes the most sense for our fund. But he can certainly freely talk about, it's nothing personal.
Right.
His feelings on that, so that you guys have both sides and pictures, because again, you're gonna have to decide, and if you tell me no, then we're gonna have to look at some other changes and figure out how to make this work.
Yeah, I just don't want to see the plan going back to, and people say it won't happen, but go back to where they had one person. Because you got people either retiring, somebody gets sick, they get an accident, you're out for 6 months, you're down to one person. Last conference I went to, they said for everybody retiring right now, every 6 retiring, they find one that they can put in the spot. So if people aren't there, I can say, you start getting staffing down. I understand 100%. You don't know what's going to happen with, you don't know what the lawsuit's going to come up with. Discussions up there with the arbitrator, that was be interesting. So I don't know what it's going to bring. That's another statement, but I just for our guys are now there are certain things that we are able to do and be able to kind of stay with it out. You know, it's a 5 day a week or somebody's off, you know, they pick it up. I understand. I even talked to Brent on that. He says, yeah, well, they've always, you know what? I've worked places where I'm by myself and emergencies and I'm scrambling. This place here, if I call any of those guys there, I will give them kudos 110%. They are always there. But you know, when you get people who have the routine and they kind of know what they're doing, that's a whole different ballgame versus come in and kind of like pick up the slack. So that's standpoint, I think we differ on that, but I can understand where I have money, I don't have money.
Part of me have that unknown hanging out there, but is this something that we could amend later? That results favorably for us?
Yes, absolutely. We could, and when we look at whether it's some resolution or that, or next budget year, if we have, we've seen issues or whatever it is, good, bad, we're gonna revisit and share that at that time with you guys. I mean, we're not gonna just be like, well, it really sucks, but we'll just continue, but again, I think kind of based on this year's budget and trying to be aware of how much we increase the rates and where we're putting money. That's why, proactive, yeah, so.
Last I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, Denver's supposed to be the fiscal, is fiscal trial, or we don't know, or is it still?
It's, yeah, it is scheduled in December as of right now, but that's assuming it's not rescheduled again as well, because it's been pushed a few times with some different things.
December, that's not that far off.
That's why I'm hopeful in the next, I say year, like I'm thinking next budget year, by the end of next fiscal year, that we have some sort of resolution or, oh, that would be ideal, but.
Personally, I'm hesitant going down to 2 people. I see that stress being shared with the other 3 or the 2 departments. I'm hesitant.
That's kind of my question. Yeah, it's, you know, the day to day, you guys feel confident that the 2 would be fine, but you know, when we have this flooding or whatever, and then we're really scrambling, right? We're running pumps and we're doing that, you know, trying to keep the plant running. I think it's something about that, right? That's DPW and plus is it all 3 guys currently.
Well, even, I throw this out of the possibility, I know even before Patrick was hired, I said something to Danielle, if you had a necessarily a part-time person, or if you had a person who would float between 2 days a week here, 2 days at the water plant, 1 day at DPW, or if they needed more at DPW. And that would spread out over all budgets, you know, they needed, you know, they're doing, they're changed out for their GIC and their water plants, like we need another person here on hand. Boom, you're down there 2-3 days a week, or BW, we're doing leaves, we need that person 2 or 3. So I mean, that's a possibility of that, you know, that would spread out for all budgets. Right along there, if that's even something that we consider.
I think for the amount of time, hoping that things go through at December. I think that we could, for lack of a better word, squeak through. That's the only reason I hear where you're coming from, Tim. I won't disagree. It was fun when there were 3 people there before. It can be done. And we're not talking 5 years down the road. We're talking at this time and again, hopefully we have the answers.
And we have to add upgrades to help out there that we didn't have previously when we were running with less people. So those things, I'm not saying it's a total wash, but it does help. I mean, they're in a better position today with 2 people than they were 7 years ago with 1 person. Because there was a time there was 1 person out there. There was a time there was a part-time operator and DPW covered it. So I understand what you guys are saying too. Again, I get what Steve's saying as well. But I do think that we have without straining our water plant and our DPW, they're already doing and helping those things. Maybe it's a little bit more, but I don't think that they're gonna be in a position that they were previously. I think they'll still be able to manage and do what needs to be done without, I guess, major issues, or I'm not saying there's not gonna be a little bit of inconvenience, but I think it is doable.
In my opinion, I would go with what Danielle did. At this time.
It's a temporary.
You'll keep the finger on the pulse, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And can you pull up water work on that one too, just show.
Yeah.
Real quick, sorry.
No, you're good, I had it up. So this one, our capital is spread out a little more. And again, it was the 8% to just make sure that we're covering those future capital. What I don't have in here and I can't predict is the LaSalle issue, but, again, I wanted to make it this year without having to increase even more, and try to keep it as consistent as possible. And both of these rates, they're on the homepage on the website. They're also under the treatment plant pages, and the treasurer page. So if anybody wants to look at them, I'd be more than happy to print them too. For anybody, any resident that wants them. Or explain it, talk to them, whatever questions they have to.
So we need to decide what we want to. We clear our yellow boxes.
Well, I made a recommendation for the two, the one is a carry forward. The only thing I added to that was 10,000. Just because the cost of them is a little more than we anticipated, and then that sewer main that I said I'll be bringing quite a bit more information on that, but we did have some issues with it. It needs to be, it's nearing critical.
On the right side of the river, it's not so bad.
Yes.
Are you on the right side of the river or the left side?
Yes, you are.
I was asking what side you were on. I know it's.
Are you talking to him personally or him as the wastewater plant?
His residence.
You're at, down south, you're north, we got the right.
Oh, the other side too, so.
You guys have questions on that one at all? I know that one's the biggest song, so that's just, we should have.
Oh, not the one to get these, not the one with those doors.
Not this year, no, unless, again, we can revisit once we have some more information, but not right now.
How far out are we scheduled for our quote next sludge hauling? We're more efficient now, right?
Yeah, and, you can talk about this better than I can, the sludge removal and the grid.
Yes, I've tried to contact Dr. Graham, which is our active, electronic, originally I thought he was gonna come down here in July. The last time we hauled out was last August. Guess it should be just knowing how to work. The process there, in most plants, you have just a dedicated building just for that, so. Now, like I said, the ones I've been around for, you know, I look at and carry that out, and you can make it last longer. Normally we haul it twice a year. Last time we hauled that in August, so. They would have had a field available, either wheat, farmers that had wheat would do it. So they didn't have a field available, so I'm guessing they're looking at August, September, so I'd say once a year. That's going pretty good versus, you know, what is it, 8,000 each time, so we'd save a good chunk of money there. So, between that and like I say down the road, Daniel, I talked about a larger. You might be able to. We're gonna have 3 years off, being able to work the process there. But they are probably coming in here. I'm guessing something. Crops. Yes, there. The last time I took the Graham, that was at the beginning of July, and I think he would come in there in July, and he said that they didn't have a field available at this time, so we're in good shape. We're in good shape. So.
I think that grid removal is helping quite a bit, right?
Grid removal is helping good. that, like I say, the Headworks building was a good investment. Where they placed it. Better the pumps instead of hand pumps, but that's another subject for another time. Several other things with the project were engineered poorly, but that's on another subject as well. But no, the Headworks building, we get rid out there, especially when you get heavier, fill up to the yard dumpster. Whereas before, all that's going right through into our ditches. That's where. See, like so. So hopefully this summer they'll be able to pull out the ditch one of the time and have it bring that back through the plant. And they get
Totally up, yeah, this time.
it should be able to, should be able. But I was able to figure out a way to when they hauled sludge out last time. Because the pump that was engineered for that plant for pumping the sludge to our tankers and stuff wouldn't go below the suction line. So you had another 35,000 gallons in the bottom there. So I was able to figure a way to get to a certain point, and if my other tank was not as full, I could put it back in there and pull it all the way down. But I don't think the last time they were able to hose it down, but they should be able to do it this time here. And it shouldn't be as bad because now we have the mixer that's in there that so we can put it in transfer can it also. That's in there, and we noticed quite a difference in there. Yeah, so it's done a good asset as well. So, and with it's things are going well. The things they did or badly did ask to say the pump station wasn't as a godsend. I tell you, it keeps up with all our flows and the heavy ones we've had up to this point. It's maintained and managed that, so they we're hooked up to alarms, so if anything goes off, we're there right away. So can't complain so far as long as they able to keep it heading in the right direction. I think it's on track.
Thanks for your service, Steve. Appreciate you, sir. Everybody good? Okay, Danielle?
Yes. So go back to major, that work?
Yep.
Okay. Major street fund is MS1 and so on, if you're looking at hard copies. I don't believe. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there are any major changes here. This fund is it's funded with our Act 51 money. It's all broken down. There's not any significant changes here. I've highlighted capital. I did make a recommendation on this as well to fully fund everything, except for the roads. We every year request 600, but that's at 400,000, which still gets us quite a bit done. And I anticipate we'll need some road money again tied to the lead service line project to do some repairs and things with that. And then we're continuing to do sidewalks at our trees, salt and cold mix, things like that. But if you guys have questions on this fund,
The specifics of the sidewalk being up, is this earmarked for any, or in particular, or sidewalks generally?
it's not in anything. So we every year evaluate our existing sidewalks. And then I know we've talked a lot about adding, and I've shared the concerns that every time we talk about adding, I get a huge influx of people that say, I don't want a sidewalk if they don't have one. So we've been maintaining what we have, and you guys recently approved that for this current fiscal year, and it was quite a bit higher than it has been in the past. We are doing a lot, but so that is my plan until I need some guidance from you guys if you're going to make people get sidewalks or how we want to address that, and we've not firmed that up. Because the people, they just do not want them.
I know the people out at Blissfield Heights You know, we can't get it all the way down there, but man, we had this discussion before about that. Blissfield Highway. And I know,
Then where,
yeah, and I know that there's, yeah, it crosses the, you know, it's empty at the field there. And then it has a little bit, then empty in another field. I just, the safety of it, and I don't know if it's, I don't have to come across some survey, because that's right, it's not where. Out there in the heights, not necessarily the sidewalk, and just get something around that curb part. So that.
Yeah, and that's a hard area too, because you have ditch there. There's some,
Yes.
quite a bit going on in that whole area.
Well, there is, but there by Leo Goals, between where it ends into Leo. That is empty, but then when you go over there, right there by Marv Nines, and where Marv Nines is, then Marv's, then there's that little bit of space stalls have now. And then by Kendall, that's the area that I mean, that's somewhat flat, and that's right there around that.
And that's where there's a gap, sidewalk gap. right?
Exactly,
Where you're at.
exactly, and that's,
Yeah, and then there's the ditch
then there's, you know what,
and some,
and I get the ditch, but
yeah,
the corners. Where you're, it's, I don't know, in my opinion, it's the.
I'm not, if you guys wanna do new sidewalk, and I've said this before, we're not opposed to doing that, and we can certainly get some costs and some information around. The challenge is, they don't want it, so, which, it's our right of way, so we can say we're going to do it, but we need to establish some sort of process or how we're going to handle that so that we're being consistent and we're handling it the same across the board. And I think that's what we've not nailed down with you guys and myself. I can certainly work on that if you guys want me to, but that's where we've talked about it, but it's not done that.
And I know, again, we talked about that part where the ditches, we used to recommend that, probably did that. But there's a part that are at least flat, we can fill in those gaps, that's good.
you're talking about sidewalks on the east side of the ones or
And the west side of the road.
in the west side?
There's not sidewalk on the east side, that's for a majority of it.
Okay,
Um,
but there is on the west side.
correct.
I'm trying to picture it.
So there's sidewalk on the west side from 223, it goes all the way down to about the curve, and then there's a gap. And then there's a white house there that's got, it picks up again, and then there's nothing. Yeah, so, yeah, right there, and then there's nothing after that.
Yeah, I can see completely sidewalk there as opposed to like, I think Grand Street, you've been brought up a few times. Sidewalk. Walk that all the time. But there's, with that being a curve.
But I don't think there's anything we can do right now, during the budget, during the budget, right? And like it's. How would you go about that?
Well, we can talk, if we can do committee of whole, I can share some different ideas, or.
I
I think, like I said, we just need to determine how we're going to prioritize and what our process is.
then let's, make it over there and see what these, yeah, absolutely.
But otherwise, what we budget here is just repairs of sidewalk.
Oh, we got a quote on that sidewalk. When we,
We talked about
We
it.
talked about it, we never did go,
Never funded further. I don't recall, I just wanted to talk about it, but not actually doing anything.
You know, if I go down, put number, June period.
No, then there's no sidewalk in that whole. Cul-de-sac there.
We ain't that far more development plans.
No, it is in our development plan, but that was all pre-platted and developed otherwise, so we did talk to them about that, but they were gonna put sidewalk and get connected to nothing. So that was all developed, like they built the houses, but it had the curb and the infrastructure already redone. But we didn't have them put random sidewalks that would have just went to nowhere. There was no connection.
Yeah, but it would have been. The developer's time rather than the residents, taxpayers' time. I mean, if we were to infill later on, right? I mean, I think we should hold them accountable. That's in our ordinance.
But it should have been done when they developed that subdivision.
You know, that's the way it reads is after the house they're developed. or
So
built.
why was there no sidewalk on the houses that were developed? There's not a sidewalk on
Right,
King.
because that ordinance was enacted 10 years ago. No cost through.
I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with you. I think that that goes in maybe after the houses are built, but when you do a subdivision, so that subdivision was already constructed minus the homes. So to me, they wouldn't go put that in now because it's already been developed and divided.
Right,
And
but rather than destroy the sidewalks during construction, that was the whole reason, installing the sidewalk and completion. Now, we either can decide.
So like they do the subdivision over there that's not divided, like not developed, they're gonna have to put sidewalks in.
Yeah.
And
And it'll be piecemeal. Like,
Well,
it
it won't be, yeah, as it's built, but once it's done, it'll have a complete full sidewalk in that subdivision. And I think that's why you have the ordinance now, but like if they would have put sidewalk in there, it would have just literally terminated in somebody's yard.
But it's less that we have to come up with the budget for down the line on. Across the board, right?
I guess if the goal is to put sidewalk everywhere, then yes. I guess I just don't think that it's fair to say they've got to put sidewalk in when that was like that was previously
Yeah, it
divided.
wasn't
and
planned,
developed.
yeah, it states out when the property is developed. So.
Well, right, but the development is through of like plating and a subdivision. It's not just, you're not required to put sidewalk in when you construct a home.
That's how it used to be, that's how. But written.
Yeah, that's not how it is in the ordinance now. It's with a subdivision. So if you guys want to look at that ordinance, we can certainly do that too.
We can talk about that at some committee, we'll talk about it. But, okay. Thank you. Major streets, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Local streets is next. This is again funded Act 51. You would transfer from general fund as well. We talked about this last night, the 200,000. There's otherwise no major changes to this. I've highlighted the capital with the recommendation to fund everything fully minus roads. We requested 400 and I'm recommending 300,000. It's nearly, but if you have questions on this budget, it's the same thing as major other than different roads.
What locals are gonna. Now, what lane is
Which is major.
major, right, so what would be the,
I don't think the capital road was road, it's all major road that's on there.
does it make sense to reduce the local if it's not paying for that erosion, which, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of doesn't coincide with the local street.
So we can change that if you want to, and then we'll need to revisit general fund. We don't have to reduce it. That was why I initially did it, is because we can set whatever transfer we want to that fund. So I was trying to offset it. And that's what we kind of talked about last night, is that I said we could increase that, or if we leave it, we're still funding our capital there. So I wasn't overly concerned. We've done that in past years. So 2 years ago, we transferred 200,000. So it's just a general fund allocation to go into that to help, because typically, like if we never put any money into that, our local Act 51 money wouldn't be sufficient enough to pay for everything that we do. But we do a really good job of at our roads and keeping up on them. And we are mostly funding.
223 is correct.
Yes, no, but to be fair, that's not our.
That's not our, no, it is not our,
I mean, yes, it goes through our community,
but it's
but,
not ours.
and hopefully we'll be getting.
And that would be any street fund, right? Sewer, water.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, MDOT will be responsible for the street 100%.
Yep.
Right. Parks and Recreation is next. And it is PNR manual for hard copies. So Parks and Recreation, we moved to the pool here last year and, or this current year. So we do a transfer in from general fund to this to help offset the cost of the pool. We talked about this a little bit last night too. I recommended the 255. It's really 240,000. It just as a refresher, the 15 was, I missed that this year, for that trail fund. But our revenues, are really our sponsorships, it's our pool sales, and then our program fees. We don't have any significant changes to the Parks and Rec budget. There is a little bit of an increase in wages for the pool, and that is mostly because of the minimum wage increase that we see each January as of now, or maybe more. We do have some capital requests. I again have made a recommendation here. Obviously, you guys can change this. But we have currently 38,845 remaining in those donated maintenance funds. We do need to replace the sand, and this is actually on the agenda for this coming Monday, the 27th, in our filters out there. The sand is supposed to last 5 to 7 years. We are on year 6, and it just, we do backwash. We're actually backwashing twice a day this year, where we've done it once in the past, just to make sure that that sand is moving, but it just starts to get really hard and firmed up. So I would like to do that with that money. And then I do have requests from Brent to install a hydrant, just a very basic hydrant out there that we would be able to fill the pool with. Right now, we connect out at the street and we run it. We're just trying to make that a little bit easier, not have that pressure directly on the main when we're filling, and they would do that work internally. So I'd like to use the donated funds for that. We do have that $15,000 trail money, so I transferred it in, or I'm going to transfer it in. So we'll just hold it there until we do something with that. So we'll need to keep that there, kind of as a restricted project because it was donated for that specifically. And then other capital, you can see the full list there, but I'm recommending pool furniture and just future project funds for what I don't know what that is, any kind of maintenance. And we've talked about this before, whether it's a pump or a diving board or whatever it is, that we've got some money there. The pool furniture, I made a note on this. I went through all of the furniture that we currently have. And what I would like to do is budget $10,000 for the next 3 years, which will get replacement. Our tables would be our first priority because they're in the worst shape. They're actually starting to crack in their fiberglass, so it's very sharp. And then we would phase in the rest of it. And then what I would like to do is that would catch us up. I would like to then put in our operating budget, $2,500 every year, and just replace a little bit every year. Instead of having it as capital, we just say, we're gonna spend this as this is part of our keep the lights on expenses. would be my plan ideally, so that it's not such a big hit to the budget. So that, again, the first year we'd replace all the tables, and then we would start replacing those lounge chairs and the others. I don't know that we're gonna talk about this and see what some feedback is. I don't know if we're gonna replace those small tables. Just because those are $165 each. They're really kind of useless. And people, like, your stuff will blow off of them, so then they just set it on the ground next to the loungers. But then you could get
small tables that they put between the chairs.
Yeah, like those little tiny white ones. But that's, again, kind of what we're thinking furniture. But obviously, there's some other requests here, and these would all carry forward, but we've got, some shade canopies to go on the perimeter. I had this request, from a resident council member. So I had put it in to do a couple of them over a year, so this would be one, and then we would do another one. Again, I didn't recommend that this year, but we had a request for a flagpole out there. The fence around the grates was carried forward from last year. Sign out there, and then we also, the filter sand replacement and the hydrant are included, but again, I recommend you use those donated funds.
And that wraps up our donated funds, correct?
Yes. Other than the trail money, which is specific to a trail.
Out there,
Yes,
not down here.
correct. Yes. But
I would push for that shade canopy. That thing's kind of permanent. And if we could pull that off, we would save money and not doing the umbrellas on the tables, which just tend to blow and destroy the tables and break anyway. So, just get well, not even a solid table, but get what we talked about, that match the eating area, and then the umbrellas kind of provide shades and 3 out of the 4 sides or something like that.
yeah, so the umbrellas I would not replace in year one. They're for the most part in pretty good shape. We do have one that's got a small tear. And then Ben actually, the village bought the supplies, it was $15, and then he donated his labor and time, but he did drill holes in those and put pins in them. So with those metal tables, they'll be able to, and they actually have done it with the current tables too. But they'll put the umbrella in, and then there's the metal bracket. Those pins will go underneath and it blocks the umbrella from blowing up. And with the tables we have in the shelter, they won't, if they hit the sides of the table, it won't start to crack and bend them. You looked at the white ones, right? And they're beat up from the umbrellas bad. I don't think those metal ones are gonna do that.
But it's just so windy out there.
It is windy out
I'd
there.
rather just have a permanent fixture, where if you want sun, they want sun, if they can fight over the shade. Maybe the umbrellas. Taking them in and out, staying them up for the staff, then it's a one and done post. The sunscreen stay up all year long, just like the other awning. So same material.
Yeah, I saw another pool, they bought, like the tent canopy, they bought that and have just a mesh cover that comes on and off in winter. And then they actually reserve it and rent those out to people. That was kind of a cool idea. And they have them like drilled right into the concrete, so the metal frame stays out there permanent. I have no idea what they cost. That quote is for what the picture you sent me, Mike.
Pardon?
The 1800s for the one that you sent me. They would look similar to our current, it's like a one arm. And then it kind of has like a canopy, but it's the same type of material that's over the picnic shelter.
So you're, what are you saying, Mike? Same
Just
here.
gotta reallocate not so much on the umbrellas and stuff when we do replace that.
Okay, so
The tables that we talked about, which
what's the umbrellas come to be allocated instead of the umbrellas?
shade stuff.
Understand, but right now, nothing. Is that right?
I suppose so, that makes sense, yeah. certainly offer the future project funds, you know, pumps, et cetera, things crash, we're gonna have set aside money for that, so that would give us 20. What's you guys think? And I think, like we talked about the signage, you know, we came up with a different solution, we get a sign up there and be done with that. But hydrants definitely needed. You know, it's caught when we built, so.
Yeah, that's
It's
my
recommended.
understanding as well.
Figure it out, cool.
Garbage funds. It's just tag sales now. So what we bring in is what goes out. So I just based that on kind of historical numbers, but yeah, it's not much. That was pretty straightforward. Building fund is next.
Did we ever get quotes on like a cleanup day or anything like that? Bring a bunch of dumpsters or?
So we Roland got that for you guys and I shared it with you. Was that? I was thinking that was the year. I don't know. Yeah, I can go back. It was a lot. I remember that. I remember seeing it and we were like, oh. I can re-pull that, but obviously it's a couple of years old. You probably are, but we can certainly look at that. But that would be funded from general,
Right.
not the garbage fund. I think. I think,
Most likely.
yeah. That'd be my-
I think that's gonna be hard to do more because that maintaining our source water keeping everything from that money on home.
And we budget 2,000 in there.
Usually that's there, I don't use it in like go out and label the drain, stuff like that. Otherwise, there's not too much to be used with it.
You can certainly look at that again if you guys want to. I'll pull those. I know I've got those numbers still too, and maybe that'll help you decide if you want to or not. Building fund, this is generated by our permit fees, and then we pay for our inspectors with this. So again, there's not any major changes. There's no capital requests here. We did complete our map project. You guys have not seen that yet. It looks great. So that's pretty much that is all, unless you guys have questions there. Motor vehicle fund is funded by our rentals. We talked about this a little bit last night, but the change here is we pulled police out of here. We did that partially this year and fully in this budget year. And then we did buy a dump truck, so we've made our first payment and we'll have our final payment next year on that. And then I've got our capital request. Again, I made a recommendation in talking with Brent on our needs, and we are recommending a 0-turn mower and a salt spreader. Which we had requested last year and told you guys to release to DPW internally did some repairs. Try to get by as long as we could with our current one. But that's what we've got there, so again, everything's.
Where did we back from?
It is expected to be here in October. September. We're gonna be talking about that on Monday a little bit too, with the sand in the pool, so. I already have a job for Brian when he gets it.
What year, do you know what year that leaf pad truck is?
Our current
Yeah,
one.
set up the trailer, but
You can probably look that up if you want to bear with me for a second. I don't know.
be able to try to set some aside for that. Again, the leaf
Leave
pad.
it at the bankruptcy.
Well, I watched guys get a price on that.
I'll go check.
That piece of that is number 3, right? So it's still doing its job, but it's definitely showing its age.
So this is an internal fund. We have no fund balance requirement. Based on my recommendation, you're looking at having about $40,000 remaining. So we would just carry that into next year and next fiscal year. Yes. That is all of the budget. But I do have some, I would like to revisit general fund. I have a question for you guys.
Did we do X, what the SVPD warrant?
Oh, I guess I kind of skipped that in debit, the, debt funds. So we briefly talked about it yesterday. So our special PD and special police funds, that's our 302 training, our CPE.
Okay.
So we get money from the state that go into those specific funds, and then they can only use them on specific expenses, training and or equipment on some of it. So we just track those separate, but we budget what the state is gonna send us, and then the police department can use it for those qualified expenses. And then the debt funds are our bond payments, our bridge, and so we're budgeting our bond payment and then what we bring in from the village to pay that. But if you have questions on
I
that,
just wanted. Want to go to general?
yes, if you don't mind. So I went through this today just to make sure I had all of my notes from yesterday's discussion in there, and I had not missed anything. And you guys can leave it. I'm not saying you have to change it, but I wanted to bring up that you guys allocated quite a bit of money towards different projects without fully funding them. And we've done this for a couple of years now, and I think that is a good idea. I like that. But I think it should be a balance of doing that and still getting some projects completed. So I just want to make sure that that's the route you guys want to go in this fiscal year. I'm going to give an example, and I'm not saying this is what you have to do. But for example, you guys allocated $35,000 towards wayfinding signage and 50, trying to find it here, hold on. It was 50,000 in municipal improvement for the what we renamed it 223 allocation. So if you took those two projects at the 85,000 and added it to your Ellis Park field lighting, which you budgeted partially at 20,000, you would be able to fully fund that project. So what you guys are doing, I'm not saying it's wrong. And I think, again, I don't want to completely not save for the future because I do think that's a good idea. I'm just also don't want to not get projects done because we're just allocating to numerous projects instead of fully funding something that we could check off our list.
Okay, say those numbers again and say what page are we talking, Danielle?
So, let me look at
That's right, yes, that's which one?
Well, and it's not gonna be, I've got it up on the screen because those numbers aren't in your pages, but under general fund. Municipal improvement, and it's, again, this is an example, we can look at other scenarios too. You guys had said you wanted to budget 35 of the 70,000 for wayfinding. And then 50,000, it was initially 223 lights, but we wanted to rename it the 223 rehab.
Yes.
So if I add those 85 to then the partially funded lights of 20,000, you could fully, yes.
And do the.
So I'm just asking if you want to relook at some of those allocations to see if you want to make some changes to fully fund a project, or if you are good with your allocations. And again, this isn't wrong. I guess was kind of looking at it, because if with the allocations, what we would do is we're saying it's gonna go towards that project. You'll reallocate and add to it next year, but we're not completing any of those this coming fiscal year.
I like what you suggested, because we talked about people seeing stuff happening to town. I think that's a good thing to draw attention. This seeing a project.
See something.
Yes, and I guess that was I didn't want to be over allocating money towards projects, but not doing anything. So I think it's gotta be a happy medium of saying, okay, we're gonna save for this project, but we're still gonna get some of these other ones done. And that's one example. We can kind of go through all of your allocations. I left those highlighted and unhighlighted everything else. So I'm not saying you have to cut those, but you can also leave it. It's really up to you guys. But I just wanted to maybe bring that to your attention. And I can kind of go. So,
Yeah, you gotta wait, I mean,
right, so wayfinding was 35, which was partially funded. The 223 was 50. And then we did the 83 for the DPW. We did 50 for the skate park. We did 20 for the ball field. We did the steel truss bridge, which will have to leave the trust money, but the not trust money was 50. We did the 60,000 for
the ball field was what, 20 out of how much was requested?
100.
Some of the lights, not the outfield.
Yeah, the lights
We're 100.
were 100,000 and we budgeted 20.
Yeah.
But we already have 20 in there, some in our region.
Not for the lights, no. That this is the first year that you guys were allocating money towards that. But we have the 60 towards the parking lot rebuild at Harvard. But we had 40 and added 20 to that. But it's still an allocation. I think that's it. So again, it's
I hear what you're saying.
it's really up to you guys.
It's another way to look at it, absolutely. Sometimes when it's all done, you can have reflected. You gotcha. So then that would be zero money for the wayfinding. We were to go the route you just suggested as.
I threw that out as an example. I guess I was just asking you guys if you wanted to relook at any of these and maybe something around to say, okay, let's check this off the list instead of partially funding 3 or 4 things. Because I think you have within your budget, I think you have the ability to do that. And it doesn't remove those other projects, it just carries them forward. But then maybe next year you can allocate more money towards it instead of these smaller amounts kind of spread all over.
But one project is split it up.
Yes.
Yes.
This
I like that.
Next to the DPW now. Next to the Farber, but we're not gonna be able to do that.
Well, I mean, if you mix, like, let's say you just do the DPW and you move that, so, and lighting doesn't have to be the project, but you move that to lighting there, you're done, you can leave the rest of it. Or complete another project.
We were really ambitious on moving that. DPW, yeah. Pretty solid.
That amount on the full movement of it.
I think, thinking we didn't, we just moved Danielle's example and actually made a recommendation to that. Put that as a recommendation. We'd have it part of them. Wouldn't we? Although it's good because we've already allocated money to the other projects that we said,
The holes,
yes, to the outfield,
yeah.
to the resurfacing of the basketball court.
But there's plenty more projects that we never even touch, you know, we not fear
Right, but
digging ourselves out.
But as far as with the park, the only thing that we would really have left remaining would be the skate park. You bet. And we're not ready to do anything with that.
Yeah, so you're saying take the 223 future and find it now?
I'm just asking you guys if you wanted to look at that, to move some things around, to get something done. And please don't, what you guys did is not wrong, you can do that, after I went back and looked at it. I realized that we probably could have checked something off the list. And I felt like I needed to bring that up to you guys, just to evaluate it. 223.
I would not take that off, but I can, we know I'm not a big fan of the wayfinding signs anyhow.
I think that's more crucial than this.
I mean, you could take the skate park and the wayfinding.
Yeah.
Because the skate park, you're not fully funding it this year, and then move that to lighting, check that off. And now you don't have to worry about saving for that next year, you can put that towards something else.
Say that to me, Danielle, which one did you say?
I said this, the wayfinding and the skate, that's the same example I gave you as far as amounts, just different. Is leaving that 223.
I don't want to mess. I think with 223, I want to keep it. That's
Or cut the lighting and move it to the wayfinding. That I gave one example. You can do.
I didn't want you to say that.
Well,
But I'm
but
I didn't say that.
She beat me to the part too.
But I mean, that it doesn't, I was giving an example, you can move that around.
I was getting there going.
You can take all of that and put it towards the Harvard field and say whatever you guys want, I guess I was just.
hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
I like the lights to Ellis Park, and it's more. It is a big ticket item, people see it. More people use that than they do in Farber. I truly think that it should go to Ellis, get those lights. Players. I like what you came up with. Get the projects take off. Check them off the two.
I think the lights would be more noticeable by home.
And like Ken said,
Not really used.
the only thing left that we're not ready to do yet would be the skate park, and Ellis would be done.
Well, it won't be done,
Never.
but there are obviously, yes, there's some future requests and things, but it would start taking something, because what happens is when they're not funded, it just gets carried forward. So then every year we're compiling more and more things if we're not completing that.
Right, and then a lot of things become a maintenance issue rather than a project to advance forward. And by completing these maintenance type issues, it allows us to put money next year towards completing a bigger project.
Then we risk adding projects too. Then we risk adding new projects, which we always know come down the line too.
We're always reassessing everything.
Great idea, you know,
Okay, mine is
so majority.
going with the wrapping up.
Like with the skate park and the wayfinding is what you're thinking. I agree.
What do we have in skate park?
That bridge is going crazy unless it washes down the river.
Right, we put 50 to the bridge, added 50 to the 51 to the bus fund. Might take care of it.
Another 20,000.
Because that's gonna be, it's gotta be removed, and that'll be a hard thing. But yeah, we wanna take stuff off, we can take a bunch of things up.
What do you think?
I still like Wayfinding. I hate driving through town and seeing
I know
a
you
smash sign when you're going through town. I mean,
Don't even look at that sign.
people use that more than the lights in the park, but these are the bluffs, but they're important, all of this stuff is.
Just I'm gonna, we're talking lights and filling in.
Right, how do you get us on, how do you get us on Google Maps when you drive into Blissfield? It'll like pop up, you're now entering Blissfield, like when you cross a state line. Can you do that for us? And then we won't leave the signs. It'll just alert you on your phone, now entering.
Is there something else besides the lake, you guys? Wayfinding. Is there anything else besides wayfinding or the lake?
Skate park's huge, it was a
Yeah.
hit to lose those elements, but we can't fully fund that. The bridge here,
And we don't, and like Danny said, we can just stick it as it is too. We don't have to make a change.
Progress. Yes. Moving forward. Fine.
What?
I think you can pick off.
Well, you guys have, I only brought up the things you partially funded. You have quite a bit of things that are
I mean,
fully.
instead of being a park, the lighting.
So if you guys changed that in Ellis Park, you guys would have the lighting. We would continue with the picnic table replacement. We have the outfield grading, the basketball court resurfacing, and then we did carry forward 1,000 for that median and beautification.
How much
But those
more we allocated then towards park improvements?
Just to Ellis Park, it's 137,000. You guys allocated $25,000 to the staining of the Arch Bridge, which is budgeted in Clara, but really is both parks. And then Barber, we just have the partial allocation of the parking lot, so that won't be completed. We didn't do anything with tennis sports yet. And the Little League, you guys, we just have the trust fund money there, but that is another 32,000.
Or we can throw it onto steel stoplight poles.
Let's do that.
There you go.
I ain't it.
No, stop like yours.
Shoot.
Are you kidding me?
How much more people see that than the lights in the park?
Are you?
Hey, I don't even think wayfind, so.
Hey, people's everybody's priority. Throw something out there. Let's move on. What do you guys want to do? Sounds like you guys want to light the ball field.
Yep, that's what I want to do.
Eric, what do you guys, and Tim, what are your thoughts?
I'm already with lighting the ball field and getting that project kind of off of our, at least off of our table for anything major.
Here, sleep on the couch.
We're all,
If you think about it, if we end up moving and doing something at the skate park, I would not leave it where it's at.
I would have done it differently.
Well, what about the old pool site? It's higher than the rest of the park.
oh, you're not like in the back there.
If we ever did do something without concrete, like pools and bowls for
You could also,
skate parks.
the pool house that we wanted to do and rent it and make some money, pay for more Part projects.
That's kind of
That's a
way down the road.
That's down the road.
Way down the road. It's a few years down the road.
Jim, what are you saying? You've got seen a splat thing down there. What are you thinking?
I guess it's still perfect.
You said Park Tim, I'm sorry, I missed it. Oh, thank you.
I just like spreading it evenly, kind of. That's a lot apart, Alice Park this year, but
It is a Latin part. I won't disagree.
But it's most visible, I think.
Well, and then, I know for the Parks and Rec, at this moment, we don't have, the adult softball going on. I get that. I would look for that start to happen next year, is what I was like, yeah.
I believe, I know Taylor is on board and I think
Next year,
ready
we
to have
have
that next year, yes.
I thought we might actually be able to squeak it out this year. But I feel very confident next year, though.
You're talking different program than what they normally run in the fall.
Yes, correct. We're not, Taylor's not there yet because we're focusing on what we currently had. So I look for next year. Fall, adult, softball.
And it was reserved that field more than it's ever been in the past. Yeah, we can, those two over there can tell you, and we created a calendar for it, and then we actually implemented at the beginning of the year that if they did it on a weekend, they'd have to reserve that shelter too. Just because it's been happening so much, but I mean, almost every day of the week this year, that field was being reserved.
Remind me. Any fees anybody has to pay for that field?
There's no rental fees for the field. If they did it on a Saturday or Sunday, then they have to book the shelter, just because last year we had some conflict where the field was reserved in the shelter by two different people, and there was some crossover and some parking there. So now when it's a weekend, they pay, but a shelter rent, that one is for a resident $30, or non it's 50, but it's pretty minimal price, but during the week. No.
So. Okay, Mr. President.
yeah, pretty good. You guys made your decision. That's fine. I'll say your power. That's true. How hard. All right, what are you thinking now?
That was the only question I had for you. I just. I recommend. I will go through, but do the same thing, but I don't think I'll have any other questions. Unless you guys got something.
Well, we had money allocated for repairs on the dam, correct? Didn't we do that?
Yes,
Okay, fine. So what if we did?
we didn't, well, we haven't. We've actually
To repair the dam or get rid of it?
No.
to repair it.
Can't get rid of it.
But didn't we apply for a grant?
We did not get the grant.
I didn't get rid of it.
What we allocated, I thought it was 20.
It is 20.
What?
So we actually allocated that in this current fiscal year, and we're reallocating it and carrying that forward.
Total 40.
No, we just didn't do the work this year, so we're
Understand.
Just 20.
this. It's actually gonna be the second time we've carried it forward now.
Sludge wise. Sludge building wise, the RO is pretty much gonna take over that, so.
We do have a little bit of restricted funds for that project that was in water right above the RO that was money. Yeah, she's been working on, that actually increased from your printed, yes. From your printed copy, because I didn't have the final number for, so that number came from what they've been able to scrap and get out of there, so we want to put it back towards that, but we don't have any solid plans on what we're gonna do with that moving forward, so we don't have more than.
Is that what?
We've done all that already.
Yeah.
So we have all that like work done.
Didn't they, that's where they did the test, the pilots, right?
Yes, I did 3 pilots. So we know who we wanna go with and what that bottom dollar looks like.
Screw press.
It wasn't a fair price.
No, it was not. I can resend that to you guys, cause we sent that after the last pilot took a little bit to reschedule. I'm going on repeat.
Yes.
Done so much since then.
You too.
I'll resend that.
That project eliminates what, like, a lot of people always want to do. But it's not,
Ooh. Or smoking houses and infiltration. How much that?
That was what, 15,000 last time we looked at it?
Yeah, Brent and I were actually working on the quote and I've already started a budget folder for next year and that's in there.
It's on my.
Is it? Okay. Oh, no, it's different than that.
No.
He wants to do something. He wants to do the storm testing.
Oh, wait.
Yes, for the,
Say, we had on our.
for the storm and sanitary is what he's talking about, but it is in my folder.
Yeah, that's
For next
my
year.
big wish list for.
Yeah, I
Increases we need there.
I already,
Yeah.
I do a folder for budget every year, and like I said, I've already got next year's folder started, and that is very top note, so.
Yeah. permits. Or your plant stick on the diamonds.
They'll take it home, 26 years old, I gotta
Yeah.
take care of it.
Mhm. Crazy already.
I'm sure my sort of a game now.
There's something we should know.
There's been a lot of discussion about what to spend money on. Pull up by finish year again for three. I'd like to see really. Definitely. Like,
I'm hearing you. I think I'm not quite understanding. You're saying the.
Cola is closer to 4%.
That's what I think. I never cost them. No. Never. So far. Okay.
So, and I don't really know. That's fine.
3.8.
Again, I brought this up at the very beginning of yesterday for across the fund. My recommendation for cost of living. COLA was 3. Right, but yes.
You were given the 2.8 number, we brought it up. Yes.
Legacy, but that was what, like last couple years ago, we talked, it was like 40 some thousand.
I could build that out and I have a worksheet that I, have for employee costs. I'd have to go because it touches every fund. It's not just one fund that, because of the way our wages are spread across. So I'd have to really kind of go in there and do that and make it the changes and here, show you guys what that would be.
I'm comfortable.
And I show both ways. It would not, and because I have the formulas built out, so it's just a matter of going in.
Look at 4% also.
I think that I would like the announcement, I know in the past you had the opportunity to go ahead, so the actual. Cost for the village for employee, meaning here are the wages, here are the benefits, here are the insurance. I think, I know for myself, when the school did that for me, I mean, I was astounded, I really didn't understand the cost
for my teacher position, when you take a look at everything that I receive. I mean, it was eye-opening. And
So our employees do get a total compensation summary every
like,
year.
I don't think so you did do that, Kevin.
I usually give those out in January. Do you typically? So they did get it in January of 26.
Insurance has not been touched. Head is in that.
Yes.
In fact, there's quite an increase in insurance this year, so we're assuming what numbers did you use?
For healthcare, I did 20%. I talked to, most communities are seeing double-digit increases. I did find out today, actually, I had budgeted a 6% provision. They sent us our renewal provision, which is really early. We don't normally get them this soon. And that's a 0 increase locked in for 3 years. So that'll be a little bit of a savings that I had projected to see an increase there. But I won't know healthcare increases until October, and then we'll have to renew in November because I've got to have it renewed at least 30 days prior to our benefits expiring. But when, like I said, when I talked to the insurance provider, they said they're seeing double-digit increases, which is what we've seen.
I think that that's
almost
a big
every
thing.
year. But I will say that I do think that our employees are all deserving. They're all hardworking, good employees. I do think overall our wages are lower. We have in the past always been able to, and I think we can still say this, that it is lower wages, but we do have a really good benefit package. But I don't know that, and I say that I understand where Chief and any other employee, I mean, he's not the only employee who'd like to see more money, but I understand where they're coming from and I don't disagree with them. My challenge is spreading it across the funds because some funds, like I feel more comfortable in general fund having an increase than I do in sewer fund or so that's my challenge. We're really it's not
It's everything, and for me, and I think anyone else that would say to say remain at free, it's not that our people are not worthy. It's very simple. I mean, this is a business as well. And since I've been on the board, every year there has been an increase. There are many jobs out there in the real world that don't have a 3% increase. And another 3% increase, and another 3% increase, and another 3% increase. I think that we've done very well with that.
And they're paying you more for their insurance.
And the insurance has been paid for. No, our employees have not had to pay for their insurance yet. And that is kudos to us for that. If you want to go ahead to 4%, then we need to talk about paying for insurance. Can't do both. We cannot, in my opinion, cannot do both. We go with the insurance and a 4% and a 4% and a 4%. If it's challenging, I understand so respectfully. If this isn't working for you, then you need to find another position. I don't want that to happen. I don't see it, and that was one of the things I put in the into your evaluation. There is not a big turnover in our village. I think that we treat our people, our employees are good employees. We treat them well. Are they the richest? No, they're not. But they're also not having to pay for their insurance. And that is a big whopping benefit. That's my soapbox.
And you're gonna front load HRA again too, right? Like you did this year.
I'm gonna reevaluate, but
That's
if
the
it's
assumption.
still a savings, then yes, I'd like to talk about that. I'll know better once I have those renewal numbers. And I'm gonna evaluate again overall if there's somewhere we can save money or, I mean, we're gonna look at everything like we do every year and I'll bring that forward. But I actually am meeting, I asked Stacy to meet with me a little bit earlier to talk about some different ideas and options and try to get in front of it so that when she brings the renewals, we have everything that we need to review. So we're set to meet. I want to say in 2 weeks, and we normally don't meet until October. That benefits, and you guys know this, I think I say it every year, just the challenge across the board.
Especially when we've gotten vision,
increases.
dental, and health. And here, I mean, the whole kit and caboodle, correct? Essentially, from health, from insurance, or I don't know how much more you could do.
Been my experience working with people that hourly wage, what they look at, they don't look at benefits.
Well, then maybe they should.
Maybe they should, but what is on their paycheck every week is what they gauge. I think it's pretty bold to say if you don't like,
I didn't say, don't go that way, Tim. It is not what I stated.
that's what I
You're making
heard.
it sound very. I also stated behind that, get the whole picture and if you're gonna say something. My whole picture was this. This is where our employees are. They're treated well. I believe that. Our employees are treated well from a number of aspects. Your job is important, not only what you make, but how you're treated in the workplace. What benefits you receive. And I really believe that our employees receive very good with that.
I don't disagree with that.
So my point was this, is that I think they're treated well. If that's not something that they appreciate, then find something else, comma. Then I also stated that no one has left our village, so they must be fairly happy with this. And I also stated that's what I put into her letter evaluation. So let's get the whole picture in there. Don't just go ahead and pop out a concept. That's not fair to me. That's not everything I said.
I did mention about a lot of times people don't look at their benefits. Should they?
Yes,
They should,
yes.
but they don't.
Well, they should. And when Danielle gets that paperwork out, as she just stated in January, and you see your wages, okay, let's pretend are 60,000. And then you get to see what it really is. You know how much it costs the village? Not in a complaint way. I'm saying from the very statement, 90 grand. Oh, you really are worth 90 grand, 90 grand, 90 grand, 90 grand, 90 grand. So you need to look at the whole picture. I said I did the same thing because I felt the same thing.
I've heard everything you said.
When I was in a position, you don't always get that 3% raise 6 years in a row. That doesn't always happen. And it has happened here. We have, in fact, we did the whole wage study. Don't forget that as well.
I can't forget that.
That increased.
Wish we'd have never done it.
Wow.
Why is that?
Because it caused a lot of conflict because we polled,
That's what the employees wanted, was to do a wage study to see where we fell, because it was felt at that time that we were considerably below what other communities paid.
So I think we're getting a little bit
I agree.
unproductive
I think we
respectfully,
can
so maybe we need to
stop
focus here. I would be more than happy to put that together so that you guys have the information to see. It will not take me long, and then you'll have the facts in front of you to decide. I'd rather you have the information to make a decision, whether it's a yay or nay. So I'll get that together and send that to you,
And then when you do that, would you please do me a favor and would you share with each of us the whole kit and caboodle for what the employees make? What the information you share with the employees, would we have access to that as well?
you're asking about the total compensation.
Yes,
please.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd like to see the total compensation package for the employees,
Yes,
so that we can make a very informed decision about the whole thing.
that'll be based on current budget.
That's cool.
Not,
That's
and I'll send you.
It still gives an idea.
Otherwise, are there any other questions about the budget?
Just want to say, I think they did a great job.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit. Honestly, the department heads and staff have been fabulous. I sat down with every single one of them and they all sent me their stuff and contributed. So it's really a whole team.
You had a great team.
Yes.
Thank you for pre-planning and starting this process 7 months ago.
And having the hard copies ahead of time like this, that was a good suggestion. Yeah, what's your suggestion?
I like to take notes, so.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Everybody good for where we're at. And I'll take this around and send out a new one.
Yes, I will. I will. Yeah, I'm actually gonna start putting your budget binders together and then we'll get those to you guys.
Do we have our existing budget right on the website, easily accessible?
Yeah, it's on the administrator and the treasurer page, both on the right hand side in the column there. And then once I get this drafted, the draft documents will go up there too. And then once this is finalized, that'll stay, and then last year's or current year will come out.
For some reason, I do a search, it comes up like the 2021. In somewhere in there.
A Google search or?
It does, no, like the search bar.
Right
Yeah.
on the other page.
No. I'm not sure why. Probably the easiest, go right to the administrator page, and on the right hand side.
Treasure, so cool.
Okay.
Yeah. That should probably be on the cover page too, like with our little.
I usually have the drafts on the cover or on the homepage. Lisa will put them on for me, and then once it's adopted, I move it just because I try not to get too much on that cover page so they're not scrolling forever, but
Who's that Steve? Okay.
you make your technology grow it's too. But we're also gonna make changes to the website where that's in progress too.
All right, appreciate everybody's time, and now I believe that it's necessary.
I don't feel it's this year's like last year. We're all getting better at it. Better. When you have history, Sherry, isn't it different from last year from your?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I totally got a lot more out of it this year than I did last year. But maybe that's why I feel like it's better.
Hey, guys.